BsidesRI, Wattanasin. I'm just going to talk today about healthcare information security in particular. My title before was actually going to be about healthcare medical device security, but I'm actually putting that as part of the presentation. So who am I? I currently work in a healthcare organization in Boston. It's also an education institution and also a healthcare medical center. So it's pretty interesting how it works. I also teach part-time at Brandeis University and also affiliated with some information security computer security groups. So I always like to do disclaimers on all of my presentations. First one, you can read it, but again, you do not hold anyone, myself, liable and accept full responsibility for your actions. The presentation does not endorse or assumes no responsibility for the contents, accuracy, or completeness of the information here, and also it doesn't represent any opinions of any of the organizations that I work for. Okay, so the agenda for today, we're going to talk about the problem, talk about some of the introduce some of the healthcare information security risks, and also talk about some existing medical device security research, some additional healthcare research opportunities, and also some recommended solutions for it. And before I go on to the next slide, just show of hands, how many people work at a healthcare organization or hospital? Okay, cool, excellent.
This is all for you.
This is for everyone basically. Not only this applies to everyone. So here you take a look at these pictures. You can see right. There's so many different devices working together to basically for patient safety. And one of the questions I was going to ask was how many people have been to a hospital, right? But that's a trick question. Everyone has. So, but take a look at these three pictures. You'll see that all of these, there's so many, anyone that has been in a hospital, right? Or everyone has been in a hospital, you'll see so many different information systems working together, whether it be a wire connection, a wireless connection. There's so many different systems working together. And as you know, healthcare industry is very complex, right? There's so many different systems, legacy systems, new systems, different interfaces and different languages, also programming languages taking place. The information is sensitive, right? So there's personally identifiable information, the protected health information, and I'll go into those in more detail. And again, no one system is in charge. As I mentioned before, they're all working together in kind of like one ecosystem. And again, there's lots of information to be protected. Personal identifiable information might include name and some social security number, name, birth date, all of those informations that could be used for identity theft. Protected health information, again, right? Again, there's more. It's basically patient information that you're trying to protect. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. These are some things that for healthcare as well, and also the High Tech Act, the Health Information Technology and Economic and Clinical Health Act. We want to, again, these are all the different regulations, different acts that are in place for healthcare. How many people think that with the HIPAA privacy rule, HIPAA security rule, does that mean that your organization is safe? Just basically minimally following all of this HIPAA privacy security rule, is it secure? Anyone want to comment on that? For the people that are working in healthcare, right? Anyway, I'll answer it.
All you have to do is not lose more than 500 records from a report.
Exactly.
499 under is cool.
I know you're not on the list, and there's a lot of the privacyrights.org. There's a lot of you can take a look at all the different organizations that have been impacted by security breaches, and also, but it's pretty interesting, and I'll talk more about that as well. And also, what I wanted to mention was also the state rules as well, right? For example, you're in Massachusetts, you're in another state, different rules apply to depending on where you are. Okay, so this is not a real hospital diagram. It's just this guy from Google, but the point of this diagram was to show that there's so many different systems in a healthcare organization or hospital, and one For example, like a good example I like to talk about is one healthcare in the same area may not particularly use the same healthcare system. They're using many different other vendors as well. Okay, so this was more about medical device security. Medical device security, we all know it's a significant issue right now. How many people in the audience right now, you probably heard about the news of the Federal Drug Administration taking security more strictly now. So again, they're really complex, they're sensitive, and FDA, right, even though they're FDA, they passed the FDA, does not mean that the medical devices are secure. And there's many security solutions, right? A lot of security solutions, whether they be patching, whether they be some firmware or operating system upgrade, they're very invasive. And the problem or the issue that we incur is basically when you are trying to patch something, or especially a vendor system. You can patch it, but all of a sudden it's in your hands. Or I don't own it, right? Once you patch it, it's basically, once you patch the vendor healthcare system, automatically, right away, you are the owner of it. So a lot of people, they're going to say that, oh, we can't patch it, oh, we have to basically hire a vendor or vendors to come in and basically upgrade it, help you upgrade it. So it's pretty interesting how the ownership takes into account with that. And here I put a quote here, there's often a disconnect between the manufacturers and providers as to what secure really means, right? The length of time that is acceptable for a medical device, and also the risk exposure before a patch can be applied or applied to a system, for example. So a medical device also is involved in some way with patient care. It also makes it so that there's a device of significant importance, right? Because it's all about patients making sure that they live, right? You don't want to use you want to use a medical device that monitors something, but also doesn't make the patients die or something like that, or lose his or her life. You can also go start deploying software to medical devices without contacting the manufacturer. But all of a sudden, you use the basically once you do it, you control, and the vendors may not support you right away, because a lot of these medical devices or software is heavily regulated, and also at the same time they're very integrated with other systems. So for example, you patch something, and all of a sudden one other thing doesn't work. Like a lot of times I try to patch things, but the healthcare industry is very unique. So for example, you patch something, and something else, the medical record doesn't work, and all of a sudden you have to contact all the different groups, not only one vendor, but you have to ask this vendor A that it doesn't work anymore, what's the reasons, and then vendor B you also have to ask as well, because maybe vendor A says, oh, you did something, but it's okay, so you have to keep basically approaching the other vendor. So again, the main point I wanted to mention here is that they're very integrated, and all of these different systems work together. Okay, so medical devices, this was actually from a Wattanasin survey, but right now as of 2012, there's about tens of millions of different medical devices used in the US. So implants, insulin pumps, radiation monitoring, all that, and how many people in the audience actually use or have seen medical devices in use? Show of hands. Okay, cool, awesome. And besides medical devices, there's also a lot of other interconnected healthcare items, right? And especially when you're dealing with a hospital or a healthcare organization. It could include electronic health records. It also can include electronic medical records. So again, these are all interrelated. So for example, when the doctor or physician comes to see you, or you go to see the physician, he or she is looking at some kind of electronic medical record. It has all of your patients' information. It also, for example, when you go to if you go to a doctor, when you're 1 year before, he or she has all this information, so it's very confidential information. And also, in addition to EMRs, electronic medical records, and electronic health records, there's also a lot of hardware, software applications that come into mind regarding the security aspects of it. SCADA systems, the supervisory control and data acquisition. Basically, SCADA systems. A lot of, how many people have seen like all these different SCADA systems in use? Home monitoring units. There's a lot of the, even out of healthcare, the temperature control, refrigerators, all of that, SCADA systems with the automobiles. You don't have to be in the same room. You can basically be in another location, another country, somewhere else in the world, and you can control these systems. A lot of the healthcare medical systems now, or medical devices, there has been a lot of research. However, in research mostly by security practitioners, security researchers, and also academic professors as well, we haven't seen anything in the news where people actually died from someone hacking into electronic medical devices, but it will soon come one day. Also, there's other mobile devices as well. So, for example, think about all the different mobile applications that when you're on the phone, when you're on your iPad or another device, they're trying to be, a lot of physicians now, a lot of healthcare professionals want their information mobile, so you're bringing it everywhere. Where you used to have the firewall or your perimeter used to be just in their organization, now it's everywhere and mobile. So it's really interesting regarding these different devices. So security risks, some of the medical devices now, right, it's just like any computing device. They're always on, they're never shut off, and they're all vulnerable to different intrusions, breaches, exploits as well. So for example, the electronic medical devices or medical systems, there's going to be malware on them because you cannot patch systems, or because you need the assistance of either a vendor A, vendor B, or both of them. Most of the time they're not patched. There's a lot of unintentional risks as well. For example, you patch something and all of a sudden something else doesn't work. There's also intentional things as well. These security risks have become more vulnerable because medical devices now, they used to not be on the internet, and now they're all evolved from standalone electronics to devices that are used, that are networked together. And other systems might include wireless control systems, user control systems as well, UI security as well. I think you've heard in other presentations today regarding wireless control systems, right, the Bluetooth, other wireless frequencies, implantable medical devices. So again, all the user interface security. Again, unauthorized party can harm patients. With that, there's a lot of complexity requiring higher user elevation. So for example, what are some steps when you have a implantable medical device? This unauthorized user can become the root user on this medical device. So it's pretty interesting what can be done there. There's also confusion about the current system architectures or operations that may hurt patients or that may hurt the patient health as well. Additionally, there might be user interactions that may be based on the pump architecture. So there's a lot of interesting information there. A good example might be a user uses a remote wireless device that stores system settings and programs for insulin delivery. So what are some of the things that can happen with that? Right? They monitor the patient's care. If the temperature level goes up or down, the unauthorized user can change this without his or her knowledge, and all of a sudden, the insulin pump may release some additional stuff. So it's a lot of things to be concerned about regarding that. Security risks, number 3, include a lot of researchers right now have identified new risks in sensors of implantable medical devices. So for example, defibrillators and pacemakers. And also, some of this might include signals. I already mentioned about that. It could inhibit pacing. It can cause other other bad results. There's also a lot of vulnerabilities in analog sensors used in microphones, used in Bluetooth, and other wireless frequencies as well. So again, these are all different things that you should consider or look at when you have a medical device or a medical system in your organization. Additionally, there's a lot of analog devices that basically generally trust anything that they receive, their signals or anytime they want to connect to a sensor. So there's a lot of trust right now. So for example, an unauthorized device can automatically connect to these sensors. So there must be more authorization to basically require them to connect to these different sensors. There's also no cases where a hacker has actually corrupted an implantable or cardiac device, as it's extremely difficult. It's been shown in different security conferences, but at this time in the real world, nothing has been done, or no one died from it. Okay, these are some academic researchers. You've probably heard of these professors. Dr. Fu, he used to be at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. He's currently at the University of Michigan. He actually taught probably about a month, maybe about a couple months ago, he started the first medical device security class in the world. And actually that's being taught currently not online, but just a physical class at the University of Michigan. Dr. Kona, both Dr. Kona and Dr. Fu came from MIT. Dr. Gaston basically looked at and affected RFID, radio frequency ID tags. There were vulnerabilities in that. Dr. Paul looked at some insulin pumps. Dr. Hannah also looked at some automated external defibrillators. Just some things there regarding academic side. Who has heard of the MAUD database? Has anyone heard of that? Okay, cool. It stands for the Manufacturer and User Facility Device Experience. So again, it really just reports anything that's submitted to the FDA on all the different manufacturers, devices in medical, and also it looks at some of the other items. So for example, you go to it's a government website, and you go in there and then you can actually do some searches on what you're looking for. Again, one of the things is you can also look for the OWASP top 10, but don't do a search for like SQL injection, because that's actually not true. Because there's actually some other manufacturers in there that it's actually not a SQL injection vulnerability. This is actually some more security researchers on the security research side. Jerome Radcliffe, if you do a search on the internet, he basically did some security research on hacking medical device refund regarding around insulin pumps, breaking the human SCADA system. Tim Elrod and Stefan Morris, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on your network. We looked at the DICOM images, different DICOM images that are used for X-ray machines. Sean Berninger, he did one at DerbyCon last year, talking about medical security, or the state of security of medical devices. Tim Richards just talked about also at DerbyCon, talked about the mobility and feasibility of using all the Androids in healthcare and what are the potential security and privacy impacts on that. And regarding security or healthcare information security research opportunities, there's a lot, right? Mobile medical applications, especially with EMRs, electronic medical records, electronic health records. There's also an open source, open EMR as well. There's a lot of security research opportunities for that. Home medical equipment, hardware and software of medical applications as well. And also, I already mentioned about mobile applications. So this I already talked about. This was actually Dr. Fu's first class on medical device security, and you can get more information by going to this website. So here are some recommended solutions. Again, we want to make sure that security is in front of any project. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be healthcare. We want to make sure that we want to improve the user interface for a system, event mechanism. So basically it requires like a balance. Anytime a system or event is disconnected, So for example, changes this design can affect device security, so you want to ensure that security is always checked. The Federal Drug Administration also encourages healthcare organizations to report any or all problems. They do try to help you, but we need to work together as a whole. There's also a lack of formal reporting on the part of providers. So we need to, anytime there's a problem, we should also work with the FDA as well. They're getting better, but it's not there yet. So we're currently evolving. There's also, without formal evidence, right, the FDA is limited to what they can act upon. So anything that you see, you can also work with them to show that this can be something that can be improved on. And also, working with manufacturers to partner and advise them, right? Remember that you want to also develop some security champions and work with them. Just because they say no, or no, if one vendor says no and you can't patch it, doesn't mean that you can patch it, but work with them, work with their processes and workflows as well. And also create software to identify whether or not signals are being received. So regarding this, you want to ensure that anything that is authorized is actually the real signal or machine that you're coming from. These are some guides to use. How many people have heard of, right, NIST 800.53? NIST actually is currently having additional security references with medical devices, but I haven't seen any additional ones. But these are some, like the government GAO has some medical device templates as well. The high trust security framework, right, improved medical device security. These are just some interesting things. And if you take a look on the EU, this was actually from 2001, but NIST GCR 01-816 has some guides regarding active medical devices and how to make that more secure as well. And how many people have heard of MDIS? It actually stands for the Medical Innovation, Safety, and Security Consortium. Again, they're working with security professionals and other healthcare professionals and organizations. And the mission is basically to protect healthcare and the well-being of patients as well, and to ensure that there are safe medical devices. This was from a survey results from the Wattanasin Institute. But right now, the majority of healthcare providers are currently not employing best practices. We know that, right, to prevent malware, mitigating between medical devices and computer networks, right? These medical devices, they can be patched, or once you patch it, you're the owner. Or if you patch it, no longer will the vendor support you. So just some interesting things there. Less than half of the respondents to this security survey you said that they scan medical devices for viruses and malware, right? But again, there's so many reasons why they don't do that. Again, maybe it may bring something down, and remember that they're so interconnected. And only 1 of 5 respondents said that they did scan prior to connection, and only 16% said that they did scan a device and remove applications that were not present in the security threat. So what's the future of healthcare? And before I start, any questions regarding anything that I said? Okay. Yes.
On these devices, does it matter how the devices are being used as far as if they're treated any differently, as far as the surgeries or anything, the processes?
So the question was, on these devices, are these different devices being used, are they treated any differently regarding the security aspects, you mean, of it? And that's a great question, and the reason, there's so many of these different devices, and right, and it really depends on how, like, let's say a defibrillator, for example. There's ways of patching it and not, because for example, you have to take it out and then you have to connect it. So it really depends on the manufacturers themselves. So there's like no, from what I know, there's like no specific guide, and besides like NIST and all the different other frameworks, but there's nothing that covers medical device security. Question?
Yeah. The FDA has basically come out with verbiage, and they've told both the covered entities of the hospitals and the medical device vendors. It's a shared responsibility for the security of these devices, but never set a framework. So what the medical device vendors like the GEs and the Philips and all the other ones, they basically play the FDA card, so the FDA says you can't change that device.
Exactly.
The patch isn't changing the way that the software was designed to work. It actually does the medical function. It usually is fixing the underlying flaws in the operating system in which it runs on. But businesses don't want to take the risk for what you said of something malfunctioning after a patch was put in. If it wasn't on the medical device vendors approved list or validated list.
Right, and like a lot of these medical devices or medical systems also have different operating systems. And once you try to change it, you're responsible. The vendor there's no recollection that they even implemented for you. So there's so many interconnecting parts as well.
Assuming the limitations you obviously face with patching these devices, what's your opinion as far as external mitigations? I mean, segregation, network mitigations, and how effective can that really be?
Sure. So the question was regarding all of these different medical device security implications, what are some of your recommended solutions from external point of view? So what I would recommend is, again, segregation. A lot of organizations, they segregate or try to segregate their different healthcare applications, healthcare systems. I know one organization or a couple organizations, anything that deals with PII, PHI, they put that not on the segregated network. So for example, if something, and also at the same time, they limit any internet access. So for example, if you know exactly what these medical devices are going to do, you actually want to just put them directly just for the job that they need to be done. I've seen a lot of these different medical applications, medical systems. They're connected to the network, someone uses the internet, checking the email, phishing email comes in, and all of a sudden it's infected. And what happens there, right? Command and control bot takes over. It can control that whole interconnecting system as well. So, yes.
You were mentioning the application of patches and how applying a patch now the vendor just doesn't have responsibility anymore. What I was wondering is, do the healthcare institutes have, like say, testing environments where they could have, pretty much an environment with all the different types of instrumentation where they would apply a patch and do some kind of system integration testing to see how a patch would affect all the devices before they actually put it into a production environment?
Right. So the question was, do healthcare organizations, do they have like a test environment where a lot of these different different systems can be tested? And that's a great. The reality of it is that I think every healthcare organization wants to do that, but most of the healthcare organizations do not have something like that. Yeah, well, not only that, but also because it's really all about patient care. And even though there is a large, sometimes they're in the forefront of technology, it's all about patient care, and everything is evolving so fast. And sometimes security is thought as a last item instead of the forefront of security. So, and Tom, you had a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Okay. No, I was just wondering what you're doing in your organization and what kind of things you're seeing around exchanging data with other entities like the insurer or some external services provider, and not so much the devices, but the data that's collected from the devices.
Exactly. A lot of the data, a lot of the data now. So not only medical devices in particular, there's also the different interfaces that are a huge concern. HL7, these different things. So a lot of organizations also, they basically try to patch, they try to kind of layer their technologies, but there's a lot of these different interfaces that are legacy that were put in like 10, 20, 50 years ago that's working, right? Just like a AS400 machine mainframe. It's been working. A lot of financial organizations still use that because it's still good. With healthcare organizations, the same thing. a lot of this data now, most of the time they are hopefully they're encrypted, but the older ones are not. So, so most of the time they try to de-identify the data, or most of the time if there's not, if there is PII or anything like that, just to remove it, strip it out or anything like that. But I know that a lot of the organizations now are, right, even if they haven't moved to the cloud, they are using the cloud now with some sort of security infrastructure. So it's pretty interesting how it's going to work now. But
Yeah, that's one thing, we collect a lot of that data from healthcare people, and if you feel good about the place where you're at the hospital, your provider, whoever it is, just remember that the data that they collect is theirs, and they can send it to other people without you necessarily knowing. So if that's something you're uncomfortable with, you might want to find out. So,
exactly. And a lot of organizations now are also working with third-party organizations as well to ensure that there is security as well.
right, and that's going to get worse with the having to improve quality of care and readmission fees.
Exactly. Yeah. And what I also did mention was the HIPAA omnibus bus as well. They're again trying to implement more security. Earlier this year, HIPAA again was upgraded to ensure that privacy and security. So it's pretty interesting as well. Yes, Tom.
Okay, not that any of us want to be a patient, but if we're going to be a possible patient, do we have a right to know or ask the question of, geez, the systems or the devices that are going to be used on us, were they patched? When was the last time they were patched? Have they been used previously, after the patch? Do we have a right to know any of that?
I wouldn't say why not. Usually when you go to your doctor's office, you sign out the privacy release form. Oh, you can release this information and things like that. But I don't see why not. But it's just interesting. Like what are some of the repercussions of all this?
Because if I was going to be operated on, I wouldn't want to be the first person necessarily after the patch was applied.
Sure, of course. Exactly. So
But that was up to the medical device vendors to actually do that validation.
right.
And their risk posture is 6, 9, 12 months before they get you anything.
Yeah.
So that's what you're living in with these regulated systems, and it's risk acceptance, but it's gross at the same time.
Right.
It should be able to do better.
Exactly. And how much time do I have? Just wondering.
We're going to retreat, so we have another good 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. And also keep in mind that a lot of these health organizations, a lot of times things can't be patched as well because there's a lot of legacy applications. For example, ID can't be patched. It's very annoying. Or the operating system can't be patched because this one healthcare application or 2 or maybe 3 aren't compatible with a patch or firmware upgrade as well. So it's pretty interesting. Your question is?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Here you go.
Oh, that's right. Well, Roy, it sounds like you work for an enlightened organization that enables you to go into your environment and consider these issues. But my concern from a personal perspective is that if I walk into my hospital, which may not be as enlightened an institution as yours, are there systems in place that protect me, or is there anything on a national level to advise the other hospitals that aren't doing state-of-the-art research that you may be involved with? But your average hospital, do they have some kind of resource to look to advise them and to get the point across so that the end user or the patient is well served in a complex environment here?
Sure. So the question was for the end user, how are other organizations, how do they know more about working with security and implementing it in their healthcare organization, for example, or with medical devices? So again, right, the FDA now, a lot of the academic and security researchers are working with the Federal Drug Administration to educate the governments about it. And also this, I believe in future revisions, they will be coming out with a healthcare security or healthcare medical device. I hope so. There's right now there's general guides, there's general from different organizations, but there's no one framework that we should cover. One of the reasons that I mentioned the HITRUST security framework is because you can take a look at it, do a search for HITRUST. Basically, it incorporates all the different security models, whether it be ISO, all the different things into healthcare organizations. So things like that. Yes, your comments, sir.
It seems to me that you've got an inherent issue here, because when you talk about PII and credit card numbers and that kind of thing, an educated cardholder has a choice of where they use their card.
Yeah.
But in what I have to imagine is the vast majority of situations, you may not have much of a choice of where your PHI goes.
Exactly.
If you're ill and have to go to a hospital, are you going to be asking about the safety of that data first? And I think the answer is probably not.
Right. And, you know, if you ever, anyone that goes to the hospital or has been to the hospital, you have to fill out the HIPAA release form, and then go right in there and take a look at it. Take a look at it next time, see what it says before signing it, because it's going to say, oh yeah, you can release these rights, and right, it won't be used anywhere, but take a look at that. So it's usually
that problem only gets worse with the new Healthcare Act, because now hospitals are being asked to do things that they're not good at. So they're going to have to go and outsource that stuff to other parties.
Even currently, you're released to go to your insurance company. Now, your insurance company contracts out claims.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If the process of all these other outsources, you have no idea what it is.
Yeah, but, and see now, I mean, a claims data contains just gobs of information that you would want out. And now you go to the hospital, I mean, you're going to have somebody, they check your blood pressure hourly or whatever. Now every one of those reasons is going to file some third party or whatever, as part of care transition or readmission counseling, things like that. So.
Right. And, it's a lot of things. And really, here I just wanted to talk about the future of healthcare, or what healthcare lies, right? This was actually from Visual Data meeting. You go there. It actually shows the future of the hospital healthcare group, for example. Right, number one, a smart pill. There's an intelligent pill that's currently being used right now to basically treat different conditions. There's a smartphone ultrasound. Researchers right now, they're working with handheld mobile devices that connects via USB to a smartphone. And this device can improve life-changing things. Number three, taking control. Patients will have the ability to raise or lower the shades in their room, for example, right? They can change different things. For medical tricorder, for example, you've seen this in like the Star Trek, all these different things. They can use to collect and analyze data on patients, and could compare that to other electronic medical records. Artificial room, number six, health displays, right? With the swipe of a card, patient information will be displayed on the computer. Number seven, centralized IV system. So again, if you're looking at all of this, nurses no longer need to program your IV manually. It's going to be in a centralized computer system. So think about all the different security, privacy, and other different concerns regarding that. A smart bed, without being hooked up to 25 monitors, your bed will track your health data, patient information right away. You've seen this all in the different sci-fi movies, and it's becoming a reality. Number 9, organ printer. How many people have used like a 3D printer already, or seen the outputs of that? So you're using right now 3D printers for organs. So for example, you can actually, it bypasses the process of waiting for acceptable donor. You can actually kind of test it, look at the biological material. Number 10, robotic surgeons, right? It's already being used. 11, memory restoration. In the government, they're using kind of like a chip for bypassing brain injuries. So for example, there's a theory right now that injured soldiers will be able to return to the battlefield with improved performance. So think of it like an extra RAM for your brain. Interesting, right? 12, medication security. Again, better drugs. So medication that will use barcodes and scanning technology, right? How many people are aware of like Pyxis machines? Machines that actually dispense based on a code, or nurses and physicians have this code. But what happens when right now, kind of like a backdoor where a lot of times is you have to remember the code, and sometimes no one knows the code, so you actually take all the medicine out before. So once someone enters the right code, you take out all the medication from that Pyxis machine, and then basically you close it, so you never need to use the Pyxis machine again. So it's pretty interesting there. What else? Oh, this was just something interesting there. Remote device security is cool, and well, we're going to keep everybody secure. These were just some resources as well. FDA database. You can take a look at their the mod database. And also, if you have any questions or anything like, I'll join the med segment in group as well. We'll take a look at medical. We'll take or talk about medical security or healthcare security. Any other questions or comments or like that? Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone.